Is this you? I just messed it up.
Mark, you all made sure that they didn't land the first punch tonight, but when they did land one, you had a response late in the game in the second half. What did you like best about the way the team kind of rallied after a tough shooting third quarter, and we were able to kind of turn the game again?
Yeah, I thought we shot 5 free throws in the second half. We shot 3 for 19 from 3 in the second half, and so it's hard to score when that's the context. And our defense stayed with it. We still stacked stops despite not a great shooting half and not a lot of easy stuff. And so I thought just our perseverance in the third to just grind through that quarter. We ended up with a bunch of offensive rebounds, I think 12 in the second half. And so we just manufactured, second half offense to a win.
And we've talked so much about Alex Caruso and just his presence, but how about just tactically, the impact that you felt like he had tonight in terms of the X's and O's on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a unique player. You can put him on Morant, you can put him on Jackson, you can also put him on somebody else, and he can be a really disruptive help defender. Which I thought he got into the game a couple times with the block on Morant, the jump ball on the Jackson post up. So he was unbelievable. That group to start the third when the game, was a little muddy in that group to start the fourth. The game was a little muddy in the third, and they came out as a 7-0 run. It was defense, and he was a catalyst in that group.
Mark, I just wonder, I know it's not just these two guys, but from Chet and Dub, what have you seen from them as far as the way they've orchestrated offense, created offense, while Shea still tries to find a rhythm?
Everybody's been great. The guys have done a great job of playing with aggression. We've got good stuff from Kaysen tonight. We've got great stuff from Hart in the first half on the pick and rolls. Dub obviously great, Chet great. Caruso offensively was really good. Wiggins gave us a lift during that run. And then I thought Shea stabilized the game in the third. When it was getting a little dicey, we went to him a couple times and he made some settling shots for us. So all the way through, Joe, everybody that touched the court played with confidence, played the right way. And we're going to need that, in all these games. It's going to be different guys on different nights.
And with Hartenstein, I know last year's team to this year, it wouldn't have been one-on-one anyway because guys, evolve and grow. But with the places you put him on the floor and how effective he is from there, whether that's high post or dunker, how effective he is from there, how much does that change your offense from last year's team?
Yeah, I mean, less of a comparison to last year, because we've had an 82-game season, but he's an impactful player on both ends of the floor. He's just a great rim protector, great communicator, really, really good block-out player, rebounder. And then on the offensive end, we've talked about it, but the screening, he frees guys up, and he's a roll threat. And then if you go try to get the ball, he can make all the plays in and around the pocket, and he's an elite offensive rebounder on top of all that. So shows up in every game, but certainly showed up again tonight.
Mark Kaysen had the ball swung to him and play off the catch to get the dunk, and that's something that we've talked about him working on this season. What were those feelings like for you whenever that paid off in a big moment?
Yeah, he played with good confidence tonight. The first game, him and Alex only played a few minutes because of the margin. I didn't go back to him for very long in the second half. I think he only got one shot in the whole game, so stepped into a corner three tonight. It played with confidence. He's built that throughout the course of the year. And we're going to need everybody, at different times to make plays. And I thought that was on display again tonight.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. Typically, you guys give up a lot of corner threes. Tonight, only 3 from Memphis. Is that by design to the defense, or is that just more of just Memphis feeling out their offense that way?
It's not what we want to give up, but there's other things we prioritize higher, so we end up giving a lot at times. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it, but I thought we did a good job, for the most part tonight. We still won the second half despite a tough offensive half from the three-point line, not generating free throws. And I thought the defense had a lot to do with it. So we just got to keep stacking the possessions. But we got to understand, Bain, Jackson, and Morant took, I think, 60 out of their 92 shots tonight. So, they're going to keep going to those guys. We got to keep our body on them and keep them playing away from their strengths.
Mark, you guys had a 21-3 advantage in fast break points. What do you attribute that to?
A little bit of turnovers. I thought we ran well on misses tonight. I thought we did a really good job on the defensive glass. That's not a given against that team. And so, we got to keep them from getting extra possessions in that area of the game. But if we can turn them over, protect the ball, like we didn't have a great shooting night, but we had a really clean game in the floor game with turnovers. And so, possessions matter, and we won the possession battle tonight.
Were you more impressed by the fact you were able to get 21 or hold them to 3?
Probably holding them to 3. They're a really, really good transition team. They try to dictate pace. I thought the Dallas game was a good signal in terms of how they're going to play when they go back home here. They lost a road game, disappointing road game at Golden State, hard-fought game. They go home, backs against the wall, and they were super fast in that Dallas game. And so I think that's a good cue for us to understand how they're going to approach this game. They're going to come out very, very fast and try to race us off the floor. And we got to be ready for that when we go to Memphis.
You only forced 15 turnovers. I say only because you've had guys in the 20s, but it led to 25 points that you guys got.
Yeah, good conversion, great job of pitching it ahead. The guys have done a great job of throwing the ball ahead. We've gotten some runouts as a result of that. We're scraping, those loose balls off the floor. So, yeah, I thought the defensive intensity tonight I thought was impressive because, the other day the wind was at our back offensively a little bit, and we really had to grind through that third quarter and fourth quarter because our offense wasn't like humming, and despite getting good shots, and the defense really stepped up.
And you mentioned Shea. They got within 8. In fact, the first half, he had a couple assists, corner assists to Caruso and Isaiah Joe to kind of stem a run. Then in that third, they cut it to 8. He gets 2 buckets. Hadn't been shooting well, but he got it when they needed him.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's making good play. Yeah, even on a night that's below his standard, he makes a lot of winning plays, moves the scoreboard, and I've been impressed with how he's gotten his teammates involved all season. He trusts the talent on the team, and so then he gets stretches where he doesn't get it going, and those guys are primed up, and delivered, and brought their talent to the table. So I give him a lot of credit for how he played.
Second night in a row. The rim protection is just excellent. You talk about 8 blocks at the rim. Chet had 5 of them. And then Hartenstein also, the two of them combined, 21 rebounds. You guys out-rebound them. Just can you talk about that two big guy lineup that's just dominating right now?
Yeah, it's always had that. It's always had the rim protection. It's always had the rebounding because of the size. We've had to develop other parts of it, and they've done a great job of upscaling those other parts so that we net out positive when we put it on the court. Continues to be good. They went small a lot more tonight than they did in Game 1, and we were able to keep them on the court late, even against small lineups, because of their intelligence and their fluidity on the defensive end. So they've done a great job. We're going to keep needing to use it.
You mentioned how the offense in the third quarter wasn't really humming for you guys, and oftentimes when we see that, teams typically turn the ball over, but you guys only had 7 turnovers tonight. Just what you like about the way that you guys were able to protect the ball and not give them extra possessions when
yeah, like
when
I said, sorry, I thought you were done. Like I said in the third, we didn't make threes, and we didn't get to the line, and nothing was really easy. And so to drum up 20 points in that circumstance is good grind by our team. And something we're going to need. You don't just stay in a perpetual rhythm in the NBA playoffs. They're going to go in and out on offense, but it's can you manufacture enough offense with, ball protection, offensive rebounding, which we did tonight, and can you get enough stops to kind of stabilize the game enough so that it doesn't become a run in the other direction? And that's what I thought we did tonight in the second half.
Ja is one of the better guys in the paint. He got it going a little bit tonight, but most of his shots were really, really tough shots. Just what have you liked about the way you guys have been able to send a crowd to him, particularly when he gets into the paint?
Yeah, I thought we did a good job on those guys again tonight, and they were just more of themselves, than they were in Game 1. I thought they had an outlier game in Game 1, the 3 of those guys, and tonight Jackson and him played better, but I still liked what we did. I thought our process was pretty good, but we got to understand they shot 2/3 of their shots, those 2 in Bain. And so when we go to Memphis, we got to expect those guys to be super aggressive. We got to expect their team to try to free those guys up, and we've got to be ready for that.
Mark, you win the first game by 51. It's easy to think, this thing's over, but they were second in the West for half the season. Do you feel your guys are understanding that and came with the right mentality?
For sure. And don't get it backwards. We were ready for them to play really well tonight. We knew that wasn't who they were on Sunday. There was a fatigue element to that, and we got the ball rolling down the hill in that game. So we knew that their approach would be different. We knew their confidence would be different. We knew they were all capable of playing better. They did. And now, down 2-0, they're going back home in front of their home crowd where they play well. The last time they played there, they played excellent. And so we've got to be ready for a similar type of punch in Game 3.
You mentioned there's other elements of that too big lineup you guys have had to develop. What are those?
A lot of it's just offensively how to work off of each other and understand spacing when one person's in one spot. Getting the floor spaced the right way, whether it's in the dunker or on the perimeter. A lot of it's defensive communication, not running to the paint when the ball gets driven, understanding, the help assignments. A lot of it's their communication with matchups. A lot of times we're cross-matched when teams go small like that and try to play fast. And then there's a collaboration they have, with their passing and with kind of the pick and roll game. So we've put a lot of time into it relative to the amount of time we've had, and it's those investments have paid off because it's something we have a lot of confidence in, obviously, to go to it as much as we have.
And how would you evaluate your defensive performance as a team so far this series, especially in terms of disruptiveness?
Really good. I thought, like I said, Game 1, I thought we were really good. It was an outlier game for them. That's definitely not who they are on that end of the floor. I thought tonight was a little bit more, they made some shots. They made some tough shots. Morant and Jackson specifically made some that you kind of got to live with the guys like that. But I like our process and I like our focus tonight, like I said, because in the third quarter, the wind was in our face offensively and we still, we're stacking stops and focused on that end of the floor, and that's the sign of a mentally tough team. And I thought we had that tonight.
Yeah, Mark, 2 straight games I thought Dubs played really well on games where Shea really wasn't shooting it good. Did you get a sense that he sort of realized Shea's just struggles and decided to be a little more aggressive or assertive?
Honestly, no. I think, it's the way we've played all year. That's what I was trying to say with Shea trusting his teammates' talent. We've played a team brand all year, and so it's not like if Shea's having a bad shooting night, everyone's playing differently. Everybody's playing the same, but we have good players that are confident and aggressive, whether or not one player's playing well or not. And so I thought Dub was in character tonight. I thought everyone was in character, and that's what a team is. So I thought we did a great job on a night where, like I said, offensively the wind was a little bit more in our face than it was in Game 1.
Michael Martin, Let's Talk Thunder. Mark, you talked a lot about communication between guys like Chet and Ihart, but what about the communication between you and Alex? Because it seems like there's some real things going on that's paying dividends, like going back to your time with the Blue, of just sort of almost a telepathic thing between you two guys of understanding what's needed on the floor.
Yeah, my communication with Alex tonight cost us 2 points because I called him over on a free throw blockout, and he was late going back in, and Bang got the rebound from the spot that I called him from. So it's not often that a coach can give up 2 points, but I managed to do it tonight.
Anybody else?
Yep, thanks.